Welcome to The Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and we are live from Hudson Media Group's North Bergen studio. Thank you for joining us for your weekly one-stop shop for sports picks, politics and government chatter, and even some neighborhood restaurant reviews. Instead of going to 3 different networks, you can come right here every week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. Now, why don't we start with our Picks with Peter B segment as we're joined live in studio by Mr. Eric Cruz and Devin Inholson. Gentlemen, second live show. How you feeling today?
Feeling pretty good. I got the good shoes on today.
I could tell, and a good hair do there. It looks phenomenal. It really does. So these are our sports insiders every week here on The Pulse with Peter B. They break down the 3 biggest matchups on the NFL schedule. And why don't we jump in right into our first game? And that is a pair of 3 and 5 teams as the Jacksonville Jaguars visit the Indianapolis Colts. Now, these are 2 teams going in opposite directions. You have the Jaguars that have lost 4 in a row, and you have the Colts who have won 2 in a row. Interesting stat about the Colts is that they play only 1 more game this year against a team above 500. That's in Week 14 against the Texans. Eric, why don't we start with you? Pick an analysis.
Well, I'm going to go right off the bat. I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this game. I think that both teams coming off a bye week. I think that the Jaguars took this week to really get healthy. And, for me, the X's and O's is really going to come down to the offensive line of the Indianapolis Colts, who's, playing phenomenally this year, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who kind of are having a down year when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. I think the Jaguars are going to get to Andrew Luck. I think they're going to be able to get back to the running game with Leonard Fournette coming back off an injury this week. They do have Carlos Hyde to mix him in. So I think the Jaguars are going to go into this game well prepared defensively, have a game plan on offense, and I think they'll go into Indy and take this one.
I don't think the Jaguars' defense is that bad. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, how their time of possession numbers, the offense isn't very good. So, they're going to give us some points. But they still gave up the fewest amount of pass touchdowns and their first in yards as far as pass goes. But they need to run the ball. The Colts are going to come in 7th in points per game. They're second best third down offense. So I want to see if they can run the ball. Leonard Fournette's coming back. Blake Bortles led the team in rushing the last 2 weeks. You don't need that happening. And they've only averaged 11.5 points the last 4 games, the Jaguars. They need to win this game. I'm picking them to win because they have to win.
Because they have to win.
They have to win. We had a brick wall, correct? Yeah, is it brick?
It's definitely brick today.
Okay.
So why don't we get into our second game? We have the 3 and 5 Detroit Lions, and it's an interesting matchup. 3 and 5 Detroit Lions visiting the 5 and 3 Chicago Bears. So this is a battle between the first place and the last place team in the NFC North. But only 2 games separate them. Yeah. So it really is a big game. Eric, what do you think?
Well, the 2 games that separate them, to me, it's really not that close. The Detroit Lions, they started off really slow. They got on a little roll, but obviously last week they traded Golden Tate, and they come out on that weekend, and they just look really bad offensively. Yeah, they just don't have any trust in each other. That's what it really looks like. For the Chicago Bears, defensively, they've had a little bit of a letdown these past couple weeks. Obviously, against the Bills, they turned it up. I think they had two interceptions for return for a touchdown. But in this game, I think that trend for the Bears continues defensively. For the Lions, I think you're going to really just see them struggle for the rest of the year. I believe they're going to just struggle for the rest of the year. And the Bears are just – Trubisky's playing a lot better. He's trending up. I like what they're doing with Jordan Howard, getting him more involved in the game. Tariq Cohen's a playmaker. So, for me, this game is really just going to come down to the better team, and that's going to be the Chicago Bears.
Okay. Well, speaking on the Lions, it's unfortunate because just a couple weeks ago, I felt that they were one of the most underrated teams at 3 and 3. Now they've looked terrible, like you mentioned, the last 2 weeks. Give up 10 sacks to Minnesota. They're not protecting Stafford. They're not running the ball well at all. And their offensive rankings have fallen all the way down to the 20s. So they're not the same balanced team they were. Chicago's coming in 6th in points per game. People don't even realize that their offense is pretty decent. Considering Trubisky's evolving. I like where they're going. Max coming back. I actually like that. And we'll see. They're going to get a couple sacks from him, and I think the Bears are just going to play their game. Yeah. Tough defense, and it's going to be real difficult for Stafford to do anything.
So would your field Chicago?
Come on.
No, nothing like a winter game there.
Yeah,
it's got to be cold. It's cold over here.
And exactly. You don't want to go into that environment struggling on offense.
That's correct.
It's bad.
So why don't we get into our third game? And it's Sunday Night Football. Right. And it's a must-win for the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion. I was there live Monday night in Jerry's World, and I have to tell you, when the Cowboys are bad, they are just really bad and almost pathetic in a way. So they're taking on an Eagles team that's also been a little lackluster this season. They are coming off the bye, so they're going to be rested. But what's your picks and analysis, Eric? I mean, do the Cowboys have a shot?
I mean, any given Sunday. No, really? For me, to be honest with you, just what's disappointing about the Dallas Cowboys so far this year is just how inconsistent they are in must-win games. You know, they'll come out and they'll show up and they'll have a great game against one team, and then against Tennessee, a team that a lot of people thought that the Cowboys should beat.
Yeah. Does that come down to coaching? Everybody's on the Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan bandwagon that they need to go.
To me, I'm on that bandwagon just because of what I've seen and what we've posted on the website. I mean, it's just when you look at them and you break the Cowboys down, they're just not in sync offensively. Offensive line, Connor Williams is having a really, really, really bad year as a rookie. Yeah. But with that said, I'm going to go with Dallas because I think that defensively
I
think defensively they are still a really good football team there. And I think with the coaches, I think you said this, when their backs are against the wall, for some reason they come out and they fire up their team. I'm going to go with Dallas in an upset. And I think Zeke's going to have a big game.
Okay.
I think, all right. I'm just trying to process this. I remember, kind of feel like he was against Dallas. Like,
I was.
They're dead in the water. But then he hit us with this one. But I'm
telling you.
Here's the thing. The Eagles, they're not even getting talked about. They won the Super Bowl last year. They're barely getting talked about.
Well, they're 4-4.
Right. But still, I know you haven't seen them in a couple weeks,
Sure.
And they were playing in London. But my thing is, Dallas has beaten them 4 out of the last 5 times in Philly. 4 out of the last 5 in Philly. I mean, it doesn't mean anything now. But for me, the game's going to be won, I feel like, on third down. Third down offense for the Cowboys are 28th in the league. Defensively, they're 29th in the league. And for the Eagles, they're the third best third down defense in the league. And you see how much they're struggling offensively on third down, the Cowboys. They're not converting. And I don't know. For me, I just feel like Zeke is only averaging 2.9 yards per carry in the last 2 games. He's going against a rush defense that's they're allowing 4.5 yards per carry. If I can give them any hope, that's where they're going to have it on the running game. But I'm picking the Eagles, man.
Yeah.
I have to go with I'm sick and picking the Cowboys.
Oh, man.
Honestly,
plus, what am I doing? I haven't done anything in the last couple of weeks.
But think about how big this is, though. You said it's must win.
I don't want to say anything about that.
I thought you were going to mention it.
If Dallas wins this game, the division, and let's just say Washington loses or something like that, this division goes right back to, 1 game separating.
And it could happen.
It can.
So that's Eric Cruz. That's Divin and Holson. There are sports insiders every week here on the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, stay tuned as we have Mr. Pat O'Melia coming up with his Week 10 NFL picks. And then when we're back from that, we'll have Josh Sotomayor Einstein with his politics. Stay tuned.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Introducing the MyJCMC app, powered by Practice Unite. The free MyJCMC app puts the power of healthcare at your fingertips. Go to the concierge for access to referrals, scheduling, and appointments, see emergency room wait times, and get directions to Jersey City Medical Center health locations. Read the latest JCMC news through their social media feed, find a doctor, and more. The MyJCMC app. We belong to you.
Welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. I'm Peter Biancamano, and this is our Politics with Peter B segment, and we're joined live in studio, as we are every week here on The Pulse, by Mr. Joshua Sotomayor Einstein. Josh, how are you today, my friend?
Good. Always great to be here.
Always great having you. Always great having you. So, this week, we had something that happens every year on the first Tuesday in November, and that was an election. So why don't we jump into a ballot measure that was in Hoboken, of course. It was the runoff elections being reinstated. We both know that back in 2012, the city voted 58% to eliminate the runoff elections. That year, you also had a presidential race. I believe you had a House race. You had another referendum on the ballot where it was moving elections from May to November. You had a Board of Education race. And of course, you had Superstorm Sandy that just passed through the area, devastating many homes in Hoboken. So this year, it's back on the ballot again, and it wins by nearly a 3-1 margin to bring the runoffs back. Clearly a mandate? No?
Oh, it's 100% a mandate. I mean, the people of Hoboken have spoken. They want to have mayoral candidates, they want to have a mayor that has the support of the majority. And there's a lot of people that want a more simplistic system, like an instant runoff system or ranked voting, where you go in and you vote for your first and your second and possibly your third choice, and it's just done instantly. But because Trenton doesn't like change, we can't do that. So this is the best of both worlds. It's not the greatest system ever, but it allows the people to have someone that's has the support of most of them. To sit in the mayor's seat. And that's something that's important. We should want our governments, especially our local government, which impacts us honestly in the most greatest and meaningful way, to represent the will of the majority of the residents.
Right. Now, so we know that politicians, they love to take credit for anything that they supported and run away from anything that will obviously make them look bad. We know that Councilman DeFusco of the First Ward was very, very adamant about bringing back runoffs. And Mayor Bala, closer to the election, kind of did take a stand by saying, maybe we shouldn't have runoffs back. Is this a clear victory for the councilman and a clear defeat for the mayor?
Well, it's a victory for all of Hoboken. If we're going to take credit.
Good political answer, Josh.
I wrote an op-ed in favor of the referendum of bringing runoffs back. So if we're going to just claim credit, I would like to claim credit. Small portion. Exactly. All three people that read the op-ed, I'm sure they voted for it because
there's more people watching the Pulse.
My persuasive words on Hudson County View. No, honestly, it's a victory for the people of Hoboken. They can better express themselves, when they're voting for our city officials, and it's very important that we have a mayor who didn't have 60-something% of the town vote against him. And this is not an evaluation of whether Mayor Bala is a good mayor or a bad mayor, or his policies are in the right priority or not. I definitely have opinions about those, but it's just whether or not institutionally, structurally, having the previous system where 60% of people could not like a candidate and that candidate would still win is a good idea. And it's not a good idea, and the voters agreed that it wasn't.
Right. So now, do ballot questions, such as bringing back runoffs or even allocating any type of taxpayer money to any type of initiative that's out there, because we know we had that other question on the ballot this past week, does that really show a popularity of a specific public official who's supporting it or not? Or is it just solely based on the voters' personal opinion when they go in the poll? I mean, obviously we know that voters are smart enough to not listen to an elected official to how they vote. I mean, would you agree with that? Or
well, I think
some voters will say.
I think everybody from either side of the political spectrum, or even far left field or far right field, would never agree that voters are always smart all the time.
Exactly.
And sometimes elections are popularity contests. So I don't think the relative intelligence of the voters in mass has anything to do with how a vote or a referendum goes. But I do think that the numbers speak for themselves when it comes to the referendum to bring back the runoffs. And I think Mayor Bala was very smart to not engage his entire machine and organization in trying to fight what he had to know was going to be a losing battle.
Exactly, and we've had conversations, you and I, with members of his team, and they kind of had the hunch that the runoffs were probably going to pass. But yet, they did make public statements saying, people shouldn't vote for it.
And if I could just interject
yeah, of course,
1 second.
Of course,
going back to what you said about Councilman DeFusco, to a degree, I wouldn't say a great degree, but this is a feather in his cap. He was pushing for it. And I think that does blow some wind into his sails for next year when he's running for re-election in the ward elections.
That's very, very true. Absolutely. And he obviously did take credit. He did release that public statement the day after, or I think the night of, actually. Now, do you believe that this result is going to alter future elections, meaning that will candidates be less inclined to run now that they have to spend a little bit more money, or they think they have to spend a little bit more money with a runoff election?
I think it may whittle down, by 2 or maybe 3 the amount of candidates we have running for mayor. It'll definitely dampen the hopes of anybody who is just running out of spite to try to,
which is probably a good thing, correct?
If there's anyone that's running because they want to stymie somebody else that's running, and to take some of their voter base, any sort of deal between a candidate that's stronger, with a candidate that's weaker, that if candidate B gets in to zap candidate C, that's kind of off the table because now there's a runoff, and I think it's good because it gives the people a real authentic choice. But in terms of narrowing down the field between just 2 people, I don't think it necessarily creates that. I think there's a lot of people that will go into the races and say, well, if I'm in the top 2, then I can try to get some of the support from some of the people that didn't make it. So I don't think I think it'll narrow it, but the field, but not a ton.
And any type of concern whether, now that, of course, instant runoffs are not state law, any type of concern that voter participation will drop now in December for December runoffs?
There's always that issue with every election. And you also have the issue, of general partisan chicanery every election that goes on. That's not a reason not to engage in a particular type of democracy or not.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, thank you so much breaking down the Hoboken runoff election from this past week. Josh will be here every week in our Politics with Peter B segment. Folks, stay tuned. We have Myrana back in studio to review another neighborhood restaurant. We will be right back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design studio and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Introducing the MyJCMC app, powered by Practice Unite. The free MyJCMC app puts the power of healthcare at your fingertips. Go to the concierge for access to referrals, scheduling, and appointments, see emergency room wait times, and get directions to Jersey City Medical Center health locations. Read the latest JCMC news through their social media feed, find a doctor, and more. The MyJCMC app. We belong to you.
Welcome back to the Pulse of Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and this is our Places with Peter B segment. And we're joined live in studio by the lovely Mai Rana of mygoodies.com. That's MAIgoodies.com. Mai, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I'm getting to the point where it's almost lunchtime, getting a little hungry, and I know that after this segment, I'm going to be really, really hungry. So today, she's going to be discussing the Hamilton Inn, which is located at 708 Jersey Avenue in Jersey City. So Mai, I did a little Google Street View of this place. Yeah. This really looks like it's a place that's kind of like hidden on a corner in a quiet neighborhood. Am I right or wrong?
You just hit the nail on the head. I think it's kind of like off the grid in Jersey City. It's in Hamilton Park, so if you know that area, you'll be able to find it if you're like walking around in the, by the park. But you have to actually know the restaurant to actually want to go there because there's not many places around.
See that? I'm glad that Google Street View has accurate depictions of where places are. So now Hamilton Inn, let's just talk about the name for really quick for one question here. It's not some sort of like former hotel or anything like that, or a former bed and breakfast, or it's just strictly a restaurant, not like a place where you can get a room upstairs.
No,
correct?
That's correct. I mean, I don't know too much about the history. I mean, it could have been an inn or some sort of like hotel in the past, like previously, but it really does represent like a home-like restaurant. Very cozy. You almost feel like you're in the country, and it does kind of look like a bed and breakfast if you ever like go in. Very like cozy, very family-oriented. It's just a really, really lovely place.
So it looks like a bed and breakfast, but doesn't have the overnight bedding option, folks. All right. So they consider themselves a snazzy stop for American fare such as burgers and seafood, plus wine, beer, and cocktail specials. So snazzy always sticks out at me and could mean many different things, correct? I mean, and I looked at some pictures of the interior, and I know our producers are doing a great job of putting them up here. And there seems to be a lot of wood and not much snazz. I mean, I guess wood could be snazz,
I think it's more of like snazz in terms of what they have on the menu.
So
it's not, maybe not the setting, but what they have on the menu, they have like a really, really great assortment of like seafood, burgers. So it really does cater to anyone's taste buds. And if you ever go in there, you'll see that there's a lot of families, but there's also people just trying to wind down and enjoy a really, really good meal.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is great. And that's exactly why we have you on. It's all about the menu. Why don't we get right into that now? So we reviewed Dull Boy last week, and they had literally 18 items, and I felt like we went over every one of those items, all delicious. Hamilton Inn's menu is certainly quite larger. It really, really is. They have a brunch lunch menu that has a raw bar, sandwiches, salads, sides, then a menu within a menu that has the brunch menu, obviously. Anything that stick out at you in their brunch menu or their lunch menu?
Yeah, I mean, you always have to start out with their oysters, right? They have some Blue Point oysters from Long Island, and then they have some from Washington State, so you can start that as a starter with like your drinks if you're having a glass of wine and whatnot. If you're like with your girlfriends, you'll see a lot of moms in the area, but I do see that they, for me, actually, I order the turkey burger. So I love a good turkey burger if I'm trying to like watch my waistline, which I'm usually not, but I'll go there for that because it's sandwiched between an English muffin. So it's pretty unique.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A turkey burger sandwich with an English muffin.
Yeah, so all those juices that come out, as it's cooked, soaks right in. The bread doesn't, dissolve or get all, like soggy, so it's a great touch.
What a genius idea, and especially for those people that have given up red meat. I'm not saying I'm one of those, but turkey burger and the English muffin, that is fantastic. That really, really is. Now, their dinner menu. So their dinner menu is very similar to me as their brunch and lunch menu is. Basically, they take out the brunch section, they add some entrees. I don't know a time that you normally go to it. Have you ever been there for dinner, and what did you have there?
I've been there for both.
Okay, good.
Dinner menu, you'd usually do like maybe their hanger steak, so it's a grass-fed organic steak with a nice side of truffle fries. So really, really great. Yeah, I love a good like truffle fry as a side, of course with my steak. So.
And I feel like truffle oil has been, it's made not so much a comeback, but it's very, very popular now in a way. I mean, I feel like, but that's because it's just so tasty. And I know we've spoken about many different places that we've reviewed here, and many have had truffle fries, but I mean, it's like you can't go wrong with them, correct?
Not at all, especially not at the Hamilton anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very good. Very, very good promo. So now they seem to have like a variety of dishes that are quite interesting. It almost seems like a casual upscale diner, wouldn't you say? I mean, you kind of brought that up earlier in the segment here.
Yeah.
They serve a variety of dishes from all type of cuisines. I mean, but like instead of like a beef bolognese, they do a lamb bolognese, I noticed. Instead of, their Mexican torta comes with fried chicken inside. I mean, they're just trying to be unique. Am I right or wrong?
I mean, in that area, because there's not many options, I think it's smart that they have that many things on their menu that can cater to anyone, right? If they're looking for something like for pasta, a sandwich, and whatnot, they can definitely get it here. But you also have to try their lobster roll, right? So they have a nice selection of seafood. I said start out with some oysters and maybe like work your way down to the steaks. But definitely get the lobster roll if you're with a group. It's got bacon, avocado, cherry tomatoes, and then a nice little like hint of honey mustard. So interesting. Yes, very interesting.
So like I said, that's exactly what I mean, because if you go up to Maine, they'll be like, what is this?
Yeah,
right or wrong? I mean, they're just trying to make their own type of creation. But if it works, it works. Am I right or wrong?
It's delicious. If you read any Yelp reviews or any of the other, food reviews, it'll say definitely get like the lobster roll.
Get the lobster roll. So there you go, folks, the lobster roll. So, okay, let's talk about their hours.
Yeah.
So they're open 11:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Monday through Thursday, to 1 a.m. on Friday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Saturday. So we have plenty of time to get there by.
We can go there today if you want.
Exactly. And then 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Sunday. So it seems like their hours are very long and expansive and so on. But I'm sure it's very, very difficult to get a table at popular times, correct?
During the week, since they are open for like brunch and lunch and dinner options, you can go, and its location is actually in the middle. It's surrounding a lot of schools, and there's a lot of families in the area. So for those stay-at-home moms that want to get together, they can go there. And then for the people coming home from work, they can go grab a glass and, enjoy some happy hour.
Do a little happy hour.
Yeah, but on the weekends, it's definitely busy, and you have the option to make a reservation.
All right, so we better finish the segment to get over there, correct? I mean, my goodness, lobster roll is sounding great right now. Really quickly, so we always talk about other comparisons in the neighborhood and things like that. And I feel like Hamilton Inn is very comparable to other places, whether you have Amelia's or the Light Horse Tavern and so on and so forth. Would you say that it does compare to those areas, or or does it do like something that's a little better than a lot of these other restaurants?
I would say if you're comparing it to Light Horse or Amelia's would be a very like similar setting. Light Horse is a little bit more upscale, but if you're not in the area of Hamilton Park, then you should definitely check it out if you do love Amelia's in Exchange Place.
And Amelia's in Exchange, that's
Yeah,
right, that's right.
yeah.
Well, again, we are all watering at the mouth here. I mean, I hope it doesn't show on camera, but that is my Rana of mygoodies.com, our resident foodie here every week on The Places with Peter B. Folks, this is the end of our show, unfortunately, but you can catch us live every week here on Hudson Media Group. And feel free to go to our Facebook page, type in the search, The Pulse with Peter B. We'll interact with you, we'll have fun with you. Thank you for joining us for The Pulse on everything you need to know.